Let's go.
All right, all right, all right. It's Saturday afternoon. I'm here with my partners and hosts in SilentAce221 and Cerv. I'm their partner hosting Mr. Solutions, and this is
Comic Cinema Clash.
y'all fucking damn near nailed it that time. Good job, gentlemen. That was so close. That was so close.
How's it going, everybody?
Yeah, hey, yeah, everybody, how's it going? If you're joining us on the show, thanks so much. If you are a longtime viewer, thanks so much. If you are a new viewer, thank you oh so much. We love to be here with you guys and chill out and talk about comics and their adjacent media. So we're gonna handle a couple things today, but before we get into that, like, gentlemen, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. I've had a super productive week. Really wanted to see Shang-Chi last night and didn't get the chance. But that will be next week's episode.
Oh yeah.
Be prepared for that.
Yep.
Yep. Silent Ace, you had a pretty dope week. You went to go do something cool with your big boy money.
Man, I can't remember. I tell you the truth. I came back from vacation. I was in Florida for about a week or so. Yeah, man, just coming through, doing some things. Needed a vacation. That was.
Didn't you go to a dope concert?
Oh yeah, that's right. See, I'm over here spacing out shit. Yeah, I went to go see Coheed and Cambria. The Used. It was dope. It was the craziest time I had at a concert in a long ass time.
Nice.
Yeah, so I had a blast. I was sore for a couple of days. Just mosh pitting, throwing people over my shoulders and stuff. But besides that, pretty good.
Right on.
Nice.
I went to Florida right after you came back. So after last week's show, I pretty much jumped on a plane that night. and I went to Florida to go see the grandbaby for a few days for his birthday.
Yeah.
He was adorbs as always. He walked me and his mother on his birthday. He didn't give us no walkings before that and no walkings after that and whatever though. But he gave us some walkings on his birthday. It was a magical moment. Everyone was there. His mom, his dad, me, his grandmother. Like everybody was there. It was fantastic. Even the roommate was there. Everybody was there. Like he was like, "You're all
Perfect
here."
timing.
He was like, "You're all here. This is what you all want to see. I didn't want to give it to you before you were all here. Here you go. I can walk. Leave me alone."
Right.
Like the boy is okay. So when Friday I was like on the phone with my daughter, I'm like, "Don't worry. He's gonna walk by his birthday or on his birthday because he's on time for everything. Like every milestone that he's supposed to hit, he does it like at the turn of that, that day or whatever. He's like, yeah, now I'm ready to do this thing. Okay.
Yeah, he just didn't feel like it until somebody made a big fuss about it, right?
Right. So he was like, I've collected you all today for this meeting to watch me walk. I
Mhm.
can do it now.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday to
Happy
me.
birthday to you guys. Happy birthday to you guys, right? But I had a pretty amazing time with my daughter and her husband and the baby, and it was great.
It's
So
beautiful.
it's good to be back with you guys, safe and sound, in the beautiful state of Colorado where we live.
Right on.
And I gotta overcome I gotta overcome a little bit of obstacles that's keeping us from having this show in my brand new studio space, right? So real soon we'll be if everything works out, we'll be doing this show live together
Ooh.
in my studio space, in my commercial studio space,
Nice.
where we'll be actually doing a whole bunch of production from actual audio recording, podcast recording, and printing, quite a few other things.
Oh,
So,
yeah, very exciting.
yeah, it's very
Nice.
exciting. So if that is accomplished, then I'll be moving all of this into the commercial space, and we'll be doing this show from the commercial space.
Yeah. I'm
Oh,
feeling that.
Yeah, this should be dope. Um,
hell yeah.
so yeah, but what we will see. All right, but we're gonna talk about what if episode 4 today because sweet mammy jammy.
Man, did they do some things.
It did a lot of things.
And they weren't afraid to not give people a happy Disney ending. Spoiler warning now, if you haven't seen it, you need to get off of this. Go check that out.
I'm back.
It done been a couple of days. You should know better by now.
Right.
But man, at the very beginning of the episode, I actually didn't have faith that it was going to be a good episode because the relationship with Doctor Strange and this nurse wasn't really a big focus point for the movie.
Right.
And man, did they tear that man's heart open.
Jesus Christ,
Yes.
they did.
All right. So Ace, your overall umbrella feeling about that episode.
Nothing what I expected it to be, period. Like the expectation of it was I was comparing to the first 3 episodes of What If. I'm like, all right, cool, I see what pattern going here. And they just took it a whole new realm, a whole different way. Overall enjoyable. It was I don't even know how to really put it into words, but it was everything about it was just awe dropping in general. Like everything about it, how they planned it out, how they set everything up, it was just good. I can't even say anything more beyond the point of that because it was. I just watched it earlier this morning, so to me, it's a little more fresher in my mind. So I'm still sort of absorbing it all, but it is phenomenal episode. Spoiler warnings, obviously. I just like the fact how everything came back to him being the repetitiveness of it was good. I like no matter what happened, it was going to happen. everything that happened is going to happen, regardless of what direction they went. It was just good. It was fantastic. I love everything about it, and even the scenes that were momentous, that was supposed to be. It did exactly that. So yeah.
Okay, so one, I want to shout out the excellent use of the title of this episode. Right? So generally the what if titles are very to the point, and there's nothing to derive from it but what it is, right? But this one's title was named What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart and Not His Hands? Right? And it at first you're like, his physical heart, what? And then the first scene comes on and you realize that they mean the person he's in love with, and he doesn't have the distraction of ever losing his hands. And the whole reason that he's looking into the mystic arts is not to save himself, but to save someone else.
And it really kind of answered a question that I think all of us have had. What if I did do something differently that day, right? Like the attention to detail with mourning a loss, and not really getting over it was just so well done in this episode. Because if you've ever been in those shoes before, those are the questions everybody asks. What if I paid a little bit more attention? What if, I did something differently? What if I treated this person differently? What if I was, a little bit more aggressive? What if I backed off a little bit more? He got to actually physically explore that, right? With the help of the time stone.
Yep.
And there was just like, man, I even had to turn to my son and just say, man, this girl's just destined to die today. There ain't nothing he's going to do to stop it, because he did the things that I would think, like, oh, just don't drive, don't do that. Don't get in the car, order a pizza, like literally as I was thinking these things, they were happening on screen, and I felt helpless with him.
Right. Because, all right, so I was explaining, I have a mentoree that I help with, and he's a writer and comic creator, does a lot of things that I do. He's a young gentleman, and he's trying to outright the original reality he wrote with a time travel mechanic of some type, right? But the thing is, time is absolute, right? And you run into that as you write constantly and consistently. And in this Strange piece, in this Doctor Strange piece, they did such a good job of relaying why a point in time must be fixed, right? Because if it wasn't just him in the accident, right? If it wasn't just him who suffered a tragedy, he would not have become the Doctor Strange he is in our reality.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, he was able to be selfless because he was thankful to have his hands healed. Right? In this reality, that was stolen from him.
There's a difference between the good version of the Doctor Strange that popped up in that show and the Doctor Strange we see in the MCU. Because that reality, their good Doctor Strange who decided to not go back in time, he was still a Doctor Strange motivated by fixing that thing. His hands weren't messed up. This wasn't our Doctor Strange that we saw there. This was a grief-stricken, who dealt with that tragedy in a healthy way. Seeing that be his villain, right? It was just a different type of meta.
Yep.
You know what? I kind of want to catch a tailwind on that one, right? So one of the more brilliant mechanics that they played on was the fact that how it was based on a lot of real world psychology and physics, right? So there is no way that good Doctor Strange in this case, because really he's the same broken man as you were pointing out, right?
Yeah.
Was going to have enough power to defeat Doctor Strange, who has spent eons killing creatures and collecting their, power so he can be a god essentially, right? So that was real that he wound up losing that fight, right? It
Yeah.
was also real how delusional evil Strange was in thinking that the nurse was going to accept what he turned himself into and what he turned the world into just to bring her back.
Yep.
Right? Like, do you really think anyone would be anything less than mortified by what you've done?
Mm-hmm.
And really, man, this kind of I hope that this sticks with people because after the No Way Home trailer, there are people already honking the mistletoe horn, and I absolutely hate that.
Same.
If you're watching this, stop doing that.
You're
But
wrong.
because they're like, oh well, he's not that reckless. He wouldn't do something like that. Yo, he has always been reckless, and this episode proved that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
He has always been that arrogant, reckless dude. Now that Tony Stark is out of the universe, people were, oh, we want more of a reckless, arrogant. No, you got one. You've
Yep.
always had one.
Yep.
Yep.
That's why their exchange was so important, in the Infinity Wars movies. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
you've
I
already
do
got
like
one.
he even said it at the end of the What If episode is don't make people suffer for my arrogance, right? Like he even said it. Like
Yeah, no.
he knows it's his fault.
Oh yeah, definitely, and it gave a good feel to that transition. So yeah, you can't say he's not no damn Mephisto or anything like that. He's reckless. He's the Tony Stark of wizardry, if you will. So
Absolutely.
that's his
Oh,
thing.
definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, no, okay, one, I'm just a huge fan of the What If series thus far. I have not been disappointed yet. I think the art is amazing. The animation is way beyond. The use of lighting is blowing my effing mind in that show.
Look, the use of darkness and shadows,
Yes.
having the evil Doctor Strange introduce himself as he's literally reabsorbing all of the monsters into his form before
Dude.
he hits the light.
Yes,
Get out of here.
So
I
good.
think that was so good with it was like initially who was the first creature he tried to absorb, and then he got his ass beat. I can't remember his name.
Oh, that tentacle thing.
Yeah. So he's like, oh, so small, and there's a goddamn gnome, and then it just progressively, and then
Yeah.
you slowly but surely seeing what their energies and their powers or whatever you want to call it, it basically would have an impact on his well-being about what his initial thought was to what he has done for whatever amount of time he's been doing that for, because obviously key thing, he was not able to bring her back at that time. He went well out of the realm, and it just showed just the sinister side of him, like the obsession, if you will, of the passion he had to bring her back, and it just the powers of these beings that he took, it made him more obsessive to make this happen. It just showed more of the dark side of Doctor Strange, and like you said, sir, the careless side of him, the aspect of not caring for anything else besides his one agenda, and the direction, and as you said earlier, Stephen, or Soul-Lutions. It was the title of when you read the title, it was like, okay, it switched from his hands to his heart, how they're going to portray this in, and they portrayed it excellent. They did a great job, and it gave you every scenario there was that happened, and it gave you the passion he had to bring her back, and it just did not happen the way he expected it to, and obviously with consequence.
And massive consequence.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
and that's what's The Beyonder was like, yeah,
Watcher.
Or
Not Beyond.
yeah,
not
watch it,
Beyond.
yeah.
Two very different things.
Different things. Yeah, my bad.
And really, the Watcher laid a really deep tongue lashing on my man. Like,
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
I love the desperation, though. I love the call to God moment of you can do something about this. Help me. I can see you watching this happen, and you're a god. No, I'm not a
I'm not,
god.
and neither are you.
Yup.
Yeah,
Put it check.
I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, no.
Yup.
So, and the effect at the end of that singularity crystallizing on itself and being that only thing that was so beautiful at the end.
Just sitting there in the multiverse, right?
Yes,
Just
yes,
a little and it made me wonder the second that I saw that, um, how many other of those just little crystals are out there in the multiverse, right?
right.
Of different contingencies that kind of imploded on themselves like that. It really did make me wonder how many of those are out there. It also made me wonder, how is the TVA aware of things that happen like that? I had to sit here and think, like, oh man, did they ever mention timelines literally imploding on themselves because of something like that happening? Because if you notice, a lot of the episodes had the little TVA text kind of, what if, and then it changes. This episode didn't do that.
No.
Yeah. You know what? Another good thing, kind of in just a general way with that mechanic, now that they've introduced it, right? That's a really good self-made prison for the people who are hell-bent on destroying a universe,
Yep.
It is.
right? Like, all right, so you got what you wanted, except for you're left with it,
Yeah.
right?
Dark.
You got to deal with it now.
Right, you want to destroy the universe and everything in it? Fine, you got your wish, but you got to live with it.
Yep. Your actions, your decisions caused this. There you go. Here's your gift.
Right, you don't get to die with everything else.
There you go.
And it does make me wonder what other consequences happen from him doing this, because the giant tentacle monster that also showed up in the Captain Carter episode, right? At first I was thinking, is it Shumagarath? Maybe it's not Shumagarath, but to show up in a completely different universe on a completely different timeline, it's kind of starting to make me think that might be Shumagarath, because that's kind of his thing. He lives in between the different universes of the multiverse. That's where he thrives and
Right.
Gets his energy. So at first I was like, it's not him. Shumagarath is it could just be some weird ass tentacle monster. But now I'm really starting to think, he might be out there.
Yeah, no, there's that. We was talking a little earlier, me and Ace, and I was saying ideally this is a way for them to remove Doctor Strange from the what if universe if they're building a continuous story.
What do you mean? Like, you mean from future episodes?
Yeah, so I feel like there's a substrate they're trying to build with the stories, right? Like the introduction of Shumagarath and the Peggy Carter or the Agent Carter episode or the Captain Carter episode, and here in the Doctor Strange episode, right? Also, okay, here there's a couple of things that lead me to that. So I was just rewatching this one, right? So in the T'Challa episode where he's Star-Lord, the Beyonder has all the Avengers weapons, right? And the question is, well, how did he get all the Avengers weapons? Because in episode 3, they're all fucking dead.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a world they just don't exist.
Right.
Yep.
So he was able to collect all the weapons. They're all dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shumagarath shows up in this episode. Same thing with Captain Carter, right? This Doctor Strange gets split off into two realities, right? The one from what would be the what if reality goes to the other one's reality and loses, and that reality crumbles and fails to nothing. So now there's no Doctor Strange in the what if reality.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It explains them away because honestly, Ego, what I believe is either going to be the threat of Ego overall is going to be easy to do away with this season. I think we're going to see Shumagarath in next season as the main overarching villain, but they're teasing us with that now. But I think that's why we got that scene at the end with Ego popping on Peter Quill. There was no reason to tease that if they weren't going to follow through with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's have you guys seen any of the more recent trailers for What If?
No, I'll be trying to stay trailer free.
Honestly, I'm probably gonna have to do the same with this because they've kind of spoiled some things that haven't even come yet, just a little bit. And I'll keep my mouth shut. But I think that that's a really good prediction of kind of how they're going to go with things in the future. I wouldn't be able to find any reason to disagree with that. I feel like introducing Ego at the end of that episode would be such a waste if they just never, expanded on that, right? I would love to see kind of what happened with no Avengers there, and he's here now, right? How does T'Challa in his world deal with that now?
And you also see they're building a team now, right? So T'Challa is back on Earth. Peggy Carter's out the ice. They brought Captain Marvel, back to Earth at the end of episode 3. They removed Doctor Strange from the team.
Yep.
Right? So, there's definitely something they're building here. And they keep, at the end of every episode, they keep dropping a little bit of what, they're headed towards. And then, like I said, we were talking about is the ego drop with Peter Quill. Obviously, he's going to be seduced by the idea of having his father and not having Yondu as his other father figure for him to be able to cope with what's going on, right? Ego won't make the mistake of being like, I killed your mother. At least not until after he's completely brainwashed Peter.
Yep.
And can we just assume that Peter's not going to live through this whole thing?
Yeah.
Can we assume that Peter is not going to live through this?
I don't think we even going to see him anymore after that just little thing. I think that was it for him, like right there.
Could be.
He served his purpose. That was it.
Yeah. We might see how it happened, but
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think it'd be pretty cool if he doesn't like completely take him off, just has him as a psychic or something like that. That'd be fun to see. But
yeah, he might use him as a vessel or something. Who knows?
Yeah, but I don't foresee him being beyond the point what his purpose is. I don't think he's gonna be any bigger than that.
He's supposed to be a living battery for Ego. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fucked. That's fucked up, Dad.
Yeah,
so it does make me wonder what an episode 5 can be, because they seem to really be picking at all of these just vastly different moments in the Marvel universe. It really does make me wonder exactly what an episode 5 is going to be about, or one of the things that made me super excited that me and my son watched yesterday was the All Hail the King one short made it to Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
Oh, have you never seen it at all?
No, I haven't seen it at all.
Yeah, it's like 14 minutes long, super short. A lot of fun. Everybody's saying that you should check that out before Shang-Chi, so it might be worth a quick peek.
Right. I've been meaning to watch it. It's on my list.
But there was a one shot where they had this conversation between Phil Coulson and Agent Stillwell. You guys remember him, right?
Yep.
About recruiting the Abomination to the Avengers, and how that doesn't happen because Tony Stark is kind of an asshole, and they kind of counted on him being an asshole, approaching Agent Ross about it at the end of the Hulk movie, right?
Right.
I want a what if episode. What if it wasn't Tony Stark that got sent over there and they did recruit the Abomination instead of the Hulk? Because now we can see that they use the Hulk for a whole what if episode, right?
Wait, hold on. While we're on that, can we talk about how in episode 3 they brought us back to the Incredible Hulk movie?
Yeah, they did.
And it wasn't like a legal issue or anything like that.
Right. They just straight up reenacted the Incredible Hulk movie sequence where Bruce gets involved with, like, yo, that was, I think a lot of people slept on that and really wasn't kind of putting 2 to 2 together that Universal owns the rights to that movie.
Yeah.
And Marvel was able to just draw that sequence frame fucking for frame damn near. And then be like, don't you feel like you're watching the Incredible Hulk? And then we just twisted it on you like,
And you know what? It makes me so excited, because if they were able to do that, what else are they able to do? And it just makes me so pumped, because it was supposed to be that the Hulk was written, his whole story was going to be written into 3 other movies that were not a Hulk movie. But then this happens, and She-Hulk is getting her own TV show, and Mark Ruffalo's confirmed to come back into that show. And they're saying he might be a Moon Knight as well. So it's like, oh, what is Universal doing here? Are we getting the same kind of deal that we got with Spider-Man and Sony? Are we about to see the Hulk get,
Well, I
make
think they're
himself?
expanding their existing deal that they have.
And I
Right.
like it because I don't know if I want a whole Hulk movie.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I want to. I don't think anybody's asking for that right now. But seeing the character get expanded more and knowing that his
Yeah.
story didn't just end with Endgame makes
Yeah.
me very, very happy.
They have a screen time deal with Marvel and Disney with the Hulk. Right? So the Hulk can
Mm,
only be on screen for X amount of minutes and whatever before, Disney's infringing on Universal's rights to the Hulk. And then, Universal gets paid from that screen time and blah 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 blah, right?
Right.
So that's why a lot of like Blood and Thunder, or not Blood and Thunder, but what was the second? Ragnarok featured, Bruce Banner,
yeah.
and a lot of Infinity War featured Bruce Banner, right? Like they have to do less Hulk per minutes of screen time or whatever.
It's
I was
making me wonder if the relationship is changing though, because obviously some negotiations have happened and like nobody's talking about that.
Well, I think it's expanding. I think it's a smart deal for Universal, right? Because they
Yeah.
always get to pocket the Hulk, right? They can always be like,
Yeah.
you know what, we don't want to, whatever. We learned the formula, and now we think we can do a good Hulk movie, right? And make 100% of the money. So there's that. I think it's good for Marvel because honestly, unless they're gonna start doing shows like the Future Imperfect or movies like Future Imperfect and stuff like that, the Hulk's not really worth the time on screen to hold the whole movie,
You
right?
know what I think my dream would be is to do an Immortal Hulk,
Yeah,
movie based off of Al Ewing's writings. That is one of the greatest comic stories I've ever read, period. And um I think that would be really difficult though, because it's like hyper violent, and I don't know if you could tell that story without it being
right.
hyper violent. But
I think Future Imperfect's another really good story, Hulk story to tell.
yeah,
Future Imperfect, and in a lot of ways, Immortal Hulk is like another version of Future Imperfect. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Future Imperfect is violent, but not as hyper violent, not nearly, as it was written in a different time.
it's very accessible, and you're starting to see it kind of because now they're doing a Future Imperfect origin story that they just got through writing, War and Pax, that shows how it got that bad for him. The Avengers video game that Square Enix did that has a whole Future Imperfect like DLC add-on. So this isn't something that people are like completely unfamiliar with.
Right.
Making a movie about it should feel right at home for a lot of people.
Yeah, and they blew the option of World War Hulk. They blew that completely by doing the Sakaar storyline in Thor Ragnarok, right?
Yeah, can't
So
go back to that now.
can't go back to that now. And I would love to see Hulk versus the MCU because honestly, I don't know if you guys read that comic. I'm sure you did, Kelvin, for certain. But the Hulk goes upside everybody's head but Sentry.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know what? I think he did get Sentry
They
later
knocked
on.
they knocked each other out in the end of that book. They put a
Yeah.
Superman Doomsday at the end of that book.
You know what my favorite moment of that book was? When he was on the moon and he saw Black Bolt
Bolt and yo,
and he said, "I didn't come here to hear you whisper. I came here to hear you
you
scream."
scream, yo,
Dude,
yo, yo.
I got goosebumps reading that.
Look, Black Bolt's one of my favorite characters. Like pound for pound, most people are not as powerful. Look, if he screams at you, he might destroy the planet, right? Like my dude is an actual planet buster. The Hulk put the work on Black Bolt, yo. Like the work.
He didn't just beat him. He destroyed that
Right?
man's spirit.
Then he pretty much landed on the planet like kaboom. It was like Reed, Stark. Wait, who else? Strange and somebody else. He was like
Professor X.
Yeah, Professor X. I'm coming for you, motherfuckers, next. And went on a rampage, kicking in everybody's face for issues upon issues upon issues.
Nice.
And you know what's funny about that is nobody stopped him.
They couldn't.
In the end, nobody could. There was no good guy for that series, right?
No.
There was no hero to rise up and stop the Hulk. That didn't happen. Even
No,
Doctor
like-
Strange tried.
Right. Everybody tried. Everybody failed. Even the fight with Sentry was a double KO Doomsday Superman style.
Yeah.
Like, Sentry wasn't enough to stop the Hulk. The Sentry is like God level.
It sucks that we're not going to get that on screen. It would have to be like generations from now
Yeah.
that they re-explore that. That's why, the future imperfect thing could definitely happen, especially since the MCU is kind of, introduced a Professor Hulk of some kind, right?
Right.
That seems to probably be the more logical step. I think the smarter thing to do is just wait for a couple of phases down the road and then maybe introduce that, right? Where we've
like
had
I
some Hulk
said, he
history.
don't really carry. I don't really think the Hulk carries movies on his own, right? Like I don't think even back with the Lou Ferrigno Hulk, I don't think that the Hulk has ever carried the franchise on its own. Like the closest attempt was Incredible Hulk, and that is one of my favorite movies to be, real with you. But that was still not a great movie. You know what I'm saying? Still had a lot of plot holes, a lot of device, mechanics that could have been sharpened up.
Yeah.
That type of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
See, and this is why I would love to see the Immortal Hulk as a movie, because it's not so much the Hulk it's not Bruce Banner and the Hulk that carries the movies. It's all of his persona that carry that comic book over, right?
Right.
And the looming green door, the thing that powers him truly, right? The one below all, that would make a ridiculously captivating movie, and getting into the psychosis of why he is the way that he is. That would be amazing.
But can we talk about the villain of episode 3 though? Yellow
Oh
Jacket.
man, talk about letting Hank Pym naturally be Hank Pym, because he's a piece of crap.
He's totally a POS, but the way he was going through them Avengers,
like nothing. Like nothing.
yo,
It almost made me wonder, why the hell is Nick Fury just beating the shit out of him like it ain't nothing here at the end? Like, what's going on? Why is he able to do this?
Right.
Oh, because it wasn't him. Okay,
right.
That shit.
But no, my man got hold of them files real quick and devised a plan to kill each and every one of them real fast. He was like, I don't know who you are, Goldilocks man, but you gonna die right now. Took out Thor. Boom, like, no, we ain't even gonna start this. And he didn't even do. He just was like, I'm gonna nudge your finger. Yo,
No.
look,
Yo, and talk about how detailed this plan was. They're really trying to strike into the hearts of fans emotionally. You took my baby away from me. I'm gonna take your baby away from you by stopping it before it even happens.
let's talk about how OP his power is.
They pretty much confirmed, all but confirmed, a fan theory of what if Ant-Man really had a chance to take on Thanos? Would he have gotten him?
Absolutely.
I think that answer's yes. Yeah, the answer is yes now.
Yeah, the answer is yes. Like he just would have crawled into the side of his head and then expanded itself, and then he'd be dead. Yo,
Yeah.
Yep.
Ant-Man, look, Yellow Jacket, Ant-Man, whatever, those powers, Wasp, whatever, those powers are OP. They are OP.
I want to see that expanded on, because really seeing Hank Pym become Yellow Jacket in the MCU is like a dream come true. What happened to the MCU? Did he help him develop the suit?
Right.
Did Hank go to him as I think his name was Jordan something? I can't remember.
All right.
But it makes me wonder: did the desperation of losing his daughter make him fold to somebody that he didn't agree with? And is that who helped him develop the yellow? There's so many questions I have from that episode.
So many questions, though. That episode was so damn good. Honestly, we didn't even talk about episode 3 last week.
That's right.
Yeah, we didn't talk about episode 3 last week. So, episode 3 was pretty much what if Earth lost its mightiest heroes. It was the name of the title. And they killed Iron Man scene 1. They killed Thor scene 2. Clint scene 3. Wasp by scene 4. And freaking somebody else lost their life before it was all said and done. I didn't mean to say Wasp. I meant to say Black Widow instead of Wasp.
Yeah.
But
Who would have thought this was going to be an Ant-Man story, though?
man,
Like seriously.
seriously.
I was like, what's that?
And you know what? It's funny because it goes back. If you go back to the argument that Hank and Hope had of her, this is why I didn't want you joining Shield. It all makes sense now, right? Like,
Yeah.
because she was trying to join.
Yo.
Mhm.
So it was so good. Like, look, this show is so damn good. Like, the writers are they're really going back to some real critical and key moments in the MCU,
Mhm.
and they're repainting them in some spectacular lenses, so that you can see them so that fans that are not used to the comic book can enjoy What If from a lens that they're used to.
Mhm.
Right, I think they're doing a great job because there's thousands and thousands of what if stories they could be drawing from,
Oh, yeah.
right? That have been, they've been writing what if since the 70s, right? So they don't even need to go through the extra energy of writing new what if stories. They could just literally pull from what they have, but because they know their fan base, and they know now that a lot of the viewership is not traditional comic book readers. Like, they fall in love with the characters through the movies, right? Like, their only idea of these characters is in the movies. They've taken really painstaking efforts to redo this what if take from the lens of the MCU, right? And I think they're honestly doing a spectacular job.
And they're doing it in the way that nobody expected, because the moment that the watcher mentions, the what if moment, are not the what if moments that I promise any fan predicted. We're talking, what if Doctor Strange lost his heart? No, but everybody forgot that he even had a love interest in that movie.
Yep.
What if Hope joined Shield? We all forgot she was trying to join Shield in the Ant-Man movie.
Right.
No. What if Peggy Carter? I think that's just their way of saying, "Hey, fans, we hear you. We're gonna give you this one," right? Because that has had a very vocal want from the fan base. But even the way that they reference every single thing that could have happened from the Captain America movie that did not happen,
Right.
all because somebody else got that serum. It was very creative.
No, like, they've really been really. Oh, you know what? The Star-Lord episode, right?
Yeah.
It was funny, lighthearted. We seen massive character shifts and characters like Thanos,
Yeah.
right? He's now a Ravager, loyal to T'Challa. You know what I'm saying? We see
Right.
elaborate plans get played out, and
God, yeah.
we see the overarching themes of forgiveness and unity. Like, episode 2, that just makes my little heart smile. How well it was delivered.
The father-daughter relationship between Thanos and Nebula, getting her what she actually wanted, was just mind-blowing. Because Nebula is one of the more complex characters in the MCU. I think a lot of people overlook her, right? Seeing this horrible moment kind of revisited, or the horrible relationship revisited with the intervention of T'Challa of, hey, get shit right with your daughter.
Right.
And to see Thanos try to fight off the Black Order to protect, I'm like, what What's going on here, Marvel? What are y'all doing right
What
now?
y'all doing? So we're gonna be. Okay. So honestly, it's already 1:47. So we probably should start doing this wrap up and prepping you guys for how we're gonna talk about Shang-Chi next week. But we're probably gonna wind up talking about what if every week until it's over. It's amazing, and I can't imagine that we're not gonna have something to say about it on the weeks that it plays.
Wednesday.
So just be ready to talk about some what if stuff. 2, Shang-Chi prep. This is a spoiler show. We're going to be talking about Shang-Chi next week. The critics say it's good. The fans say it's good. Everybody seems to enjoy it. We're going to tell you what we think. I'm going to tell you what my parsnickety ass thinks next week after I watch it. Right? But this is not a spoiler-free show. So if you are planning on joining us next week to discuss Shang-Chi, you better had watched it. I'm just saying.
Ace, you got a strong background in Shang-Chi?
Nah, I don't. I just started looking up that stuff as recently just so I can get prepared for it when I watch the movie. I know of Shang-Chi, but never really like involved myself into his character and his situation. So yeah, I've been trying to read up on it a little bit, getting some interesting facts on it. I'm gonna give Milrise hopefully enough to make a judgment of my own or just my opinion on the character. So we'll see.
All right, so Kevin, let's tag team this because I had the original run, right, and then most of the stuff through the 80s, right, and I'm pretty sure you're caught up on more of the modern Shang-Chi stuff. Honestly, I tried to read his last couple of comics that came out, and I really couldn't get into them. I'm not gonna lie, but I'll take you from the beginning. And I'll let Kelvin catch you all up, and we'll tell you what we know about Shang-Chi. So, back in Marvel 70s, when Bruce Lee was a hit, they was like, we want a Bruce Lee on comic book pages too. And they came up with a very racist character with a super racist father called Shang-Chi. So, in the movie, you will find that his father is the real Mandarin. In the original Marvel comics, his father was literally Fu Manchu. Like, cannot get any more racist than this. But
It's pretty bad.
you know, Fu Manchu raises his son to be an international karate assassin, or martial arts assassin, and his son's really not feeling that. And because he's really not feeling that, he essentially goes to war with Fu Manchu's evil Chinese army, I guess. And that pretty much goes on through most of the 80s until somebody's like, you know, Fu Manchu is horribly racist as a character. And then Shang-Chi disappeared for a long, long time. Sometime he popped up next to Iron Fist because they think because they do martial arts, they should hang out with one another. Sometimes he pops up in Daughters of the Dragon because they do martial arts. Thinks that they should hang out. They think they should hang out with one another. But now his daddy is Mandarin, which has no real explanation.
Honestly, you nailed all of that on the head, because it's hard to ignore the racist origins of them just trying to get on the kung fu train. Not the kung fu as a martial art, but the TV show Kung Fu from the 70s that was a really, really big deal back then, right?
And the Bruce Lee movies, like everything in the 70s was about martial arts. Like,
yeah, and even Kung Fu, stolen, right? So you can't talk about Shang-Chi's origins without mentioning the racist aspect of it. So, I thought that was really well placed. As far as what he's doing now, because, Mr. Solutions was right. He would only appear in these very brief moments, only when somebody needed a Kung Fu beatdown, right? Or to make Iron Fist look good. But more recently, he's starting to get a little bit more respect than that. One of my favorite Shang-Chi moment was maybe 2012 to 2013. Spider-Man lost his spider sense. It was gone in the comics for about a good year and a half, and him dealing with it was very hard because now you got to catch some of those bullets. You don't get to duck and weave and predict where they're coming from. So let me build a bulletproof suit so I can try to just not worry about absorbing every single bullet that's going to hit me. He approaches Shang-Chi and he says, "Hey, how do you do it? How do you just not get hit by bullets and stuff?" And Shang-Chi tells him, "Hey, you were just some kid who got spider powers. You don't know how to fight.
Right.
You just punch because you know that a punch works. You kick because you know that it works, and you dodge things because you had your spider sense, but you don't know how to fight." So he tells him, "I'm going to teach you how to fight. I'm going to teach you a martial art specifically for your power set. We're going to call it the Way of the Spider."
Nice.
I would hope that this gets in the MCU somehow. I don't see it happening quite yet, but that's my favorite Shang-Chi moment. And more recently, they've been really trying to re-identify this character by giving him, more frequent ongoing series that are really exploring the relationship with him and his father's legacy. Down to the series that's going on right now is a more of a Shang-Chi versus the Marvel Universe of, how is he going to stop Captain America from coming after him? How does he stop Wolverine from coming after him? I think that people really sleep on Shang-Chi. There's not nobody that he's not beating the crap out of.
Unless you know what, he's got a low level power set of spiritual powers and stuff as well. So you can't discount him. On that arena, like he can hang out in the astral plane with Stephen Strange, and he can put the Iron Fist to rest, like calm your Iron Fist in your heart down with my spiritual Shang-Chi powers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He
he's just
showed
never
up
relied on them. Is I think
exactly.
what makes him special about it, right?
I don't
He's
know.
never been the one to, oh yeah, let me tap into the spirituality to get this problem solved. If
Yeah.
somebody's needed hands put on them, you can't really think of anybody better than
Right,
Shang-Chi to get
right.
that done.
Now, I do want to say shout out to the entire cast of Crazy Rich Asians for being in the Shang-Chi movie. Good
Yeah.
job, y'all. That was a good transition from rom-com to Marvel. Good job.
Yeah.
And not just them. Dumbfounded. I spotted him in the background of one of the trailers. Who's a very popular Asian American rapper, um, Ronnie Chen, who was in Crazy Rich Asians. Seeing him in that movie puts a smile on my face because I love Ronnie Chen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The casting for you know what? I really hope that people support this movie well because the same impact that Black Panther had on every single little black boy and girl across this country, you know, I think we're at this moment where Shang-Chi is needed, for Asian Americans specifically in the country, right? Who are going through
Yeah.
this really hard time, right? I really hope people support it, not just to, get the more political message out there, but just because of, what it does for the hope of future generations. One of the most heartwarming moments for me was walking out of Black Panther and seeing a little white boy say, "I want to be T'Challa, I want to be Black Panther," and seeing him play with like other kids, and like
Right.
that wasn't a thing growing up. For me, nobody wanted to be the black superhero. Um, Everybody wanted to be the Supermans, Batmans, right? The well established white guy, right? So to see if something similar like that happens, with Shang-Chi, that would just be monumental. I don't want people to think that it's this one time kind of, oh yeah, we're here to support some Asian people, right? Like, no, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Keep doing it the
Well,
same way that they did with Black Panther, right?
yeah, I'm about to say the only way they can do that is by giving us a movie number two, right? So that's the thing with Black Panther is we're gonna get more Black Panther movies, but that is now the platform for their African American diversity ticket is Black Panther. The same way Captain Marvel is now their platform for their female diversity ticket, right? Largely,
Mm.
the Marvels is going to be full of females. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
because
saying?
unless they announce the Blue Marvel's going to be in there, that is an all female movie.
That is an all female movie, right? And I'm surprised I haven't seen an Alpha Flight movie yet, but I think Eternals. I think we're going to all be super surprised when Eternals is going to feature a lot of LGBTQ standpoints,
Yeah.
and way of life standards in that movie. I'm honestly because I haven't seen an Alpha Flight movie slated, I have to assume from the look and the feel of Eternals that I don't want to say agenda because that's a nasty word to put with any of the topics we're talking about, but that is the platform I feel like Eternals is going to largely stand on.
I would agree. It seems
I,
like that's kind of where they're going already, right?
it's a place that a lot of people are not familiar with. Even longtime comic book readers don't have a good grasp on who the Eternals are, where they live, what their purpose is, right? Because they're outside of the norms of society, it's going to be a really good place for them to throw away our societal taboos and be like, this is just the way that these people live, and our communities that do live that way would be they're like, you know what, this is a place where I can see myself in the MCU. This is a place I also belong in the MCU. So I think Eternals is going to serve as that vehicle for that community.
It'd be kind of a waste if they didn't. From that perspective, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I think it would be a waste if they didn't, because just like Asian Americans need to be represented by Shang-Chi, and African Americans need to be represented by Black Panther, and women in general need to be represented by Captain Marvel. And in a lot of ways, Black Widow. And we talked about the Black Widow movie, and we were like, how it was real woman positive, whatever, but we didn't really stop and consider how empowering Captain Marvel was as a hero movie for women, right? The movie had a lot of powerful female figures, but it really showcased a singularly powerful woman able to do whatever she needed to do as long as she wasn't being lied to or manipulated, which is a powerful statement in our society.
And inspired other things to come too, right? Samuel Jackson as a character, or I'm sorry, not Nick Fury, who Samuel Jackson plays as a character. His whole career, was inspired by everything that he saw her do, right? Like,
right.
She was a big moment in his life, and none of us saw that coming.
Exactly. So I think that it would be a severely missed opportunity if the LGBTQ community wasn't involved heavily, or not involved, but if they wasn't represented heavily in Eternals, right? And all the normal people who come out against any type of inclusion are going to come out against that. I'm fairly certain.
Oh yeah,
right?
They always do.
They always do, but I believe that Marvel should keep doing exactly what it is doing. Everybody should feel pride in what they are. Everybody should be able to see themselves on the big screen and be like, I can be a hero too, no matter my sex or gender, no matter my sexuality, no matter the color of my skin.
Yeah.
Right. I can be a hero too. And honestly, I think it would be a big miss if they don't do a Ghost Rider or American Chavez movie, because Hispanic Americans need to see that positive role model too.
Well, and I would absolutely hope that Multiverse of Madness is their gateway into an America Chavez, movie, because she's in there. I would hope that that's just a really good segue into, hey, if you've been wanting to see a Latin represented superhero, this is how we're gonna do it, right? Like Phase 5, this is how we're gonna do it.
So yeah, if they don't get to Ghost Rider or they don't get to American Chavez, I can't even think of a good alternative outside of those two, to be real.
It's because they're those characters are just too steeped into the culture, right? And if you want an Asian American superhero that really represents what the culture is going through right now, then Shang-Chi is a perfect, representation. The same way that Robbie Reyes, if you want an American Mexican, superhero to really represent Mexican America, and just the Latin community as a whole, it's either going to be America Chavez or Robbie Reyes, right? There's not really anybody that's doing it better than the two of them. I am super glad to see the Falcon get introduced, who is a very new member of the Marvel universe as a whole, the new Falcon. But that's not enough, right? Like that is not enough. And to be honest, Hispanic representation is kind of late to the
Actually,
party.
I did not know. Okay, so one, I didn't catch the news that the new Falcon is Mexican American or Hispanic, right?
Yeah.
But that role is degradatory. That Falcon role is always dedicated to the inclusionary sidekick character. So now they've getting Black Captain America, a Mexican American sidekick. So basically, they're saying, all right, so we elevated you Negroes, right? But now this is y'all sidekick because this is the new you. You know what I'm saying? I've always, and I know we ran out of time. But I've always had a problem with the Falcon character, right? Because the Falcon character is the relegation of sidekick to your superior.
So, I think that the way that they could fix this is because I think that they realized that they were going down that hole with the comic. Falcon in the comics was Captain America's sidekick the moment that he got, freed from captivity. He never appeared with Sam again after that, right? Because I think that they realized, like, hey, this is a bad look, right? This is a really bad look to literally have a Mexican mutant kid in captivity being, saved by Captain America, the Black Man, right?
Right.
So then if you read Joaquin Torres's other appearances in comics, it's not beside Captain America. It is as a champion, right? And I feel like that's kind of where the MCU is going by introducing so many teenage superheroes. I feel like we're about to get some kind of champions thing, right? They'll probably brand it Young Avengers for money's sake, but if they do the whole Joaquin Torres and having him, be the Falcon, I hope it's not in a Captain America movie. I hope it's side by side with Champion.
Yeah, that would be cool. But yeah, you know what? We are over time, and I could sit here and talk shop all day. But get ready for Shang-Chi next week, guys. That's what we're doing.
We'll watch it.
Yeah, get in the panels for the Twitch, so you can get your Comic Cinema Class shirt and your Comic Cinema Class mug. Definitely go and support us. Actually, we're gonna get a new online store for you guys. We can get some even better shirts than just these things with the stamp in the center. So it's gonna be hot for you guys, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, look, we love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Saturday. Like I said, we're talking about What If and probably Shang-Chi for real tomorrow, next week. So we'll start with Shang-Chi and then we'll talk about the What If episode for next week. Gentlemen,
Marvel.
It's been a blast hanging out with y'all.
Hell yes,
Yes, it has.
All right.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Yep. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next week.